Michael Parenti, Blackshirts and Reds. Section: The Class Denial of Class. Those who occupy the higher circles of wealth and power are keenly aware of their own interests. While they sometimes seriously differ among themselves on specific issues, they exhibit an impressive cohesion when it comes to protecting the existing class system of corporate power, property, privilege, and profit. At the same time, they are careful to discourage public awareness of the class power they wield. They avoid the C word, especially when used in reference to themselves, as in, quote, owning class, upper class, or moneyed class. And they like it least when the politically active elements of the owning class are called the, quote, ruling class. At the same time, they are careful to discourage public awareness of the class power they wield. They avoid the C word, especially when used in reference to themselves. The ruling class in this country has labored long to leave the impression that it does not exist, does not own the lion's share of just about everything, and does not exercise a vastly disproportionate influence over the affairs of the nation. Such precautions are themselves symptomatic of an acute awareness of class interests. Yet ruling class members are far from invisible. Their command positions in the corporate world, their control of international finance and industry, their ownership of the major media, and their influence over state power and the political process are all matters of public record, to some limited degree. Footnote: For a more detailed treatment of ruling class resources and influences, see my Democracy for the Few. End footnote. While it would seem a simple matter to apply the C word to those who occupy the highest reaches of the C world, the dominant class ideology dismisses any such application as a lapse into, quote, conspiracy theory. The C word is also taboo when applied to the millions who do the work of society for what are usually niggardly wages, the, quote, working class, a term that is dismissed as Marxist jargon. And it is verboten to refer to the, quote, exploiting and exploited classes. For then one is talking about the very essence of the capitalist system, the accumulation of corporate wealth at the expense of labor. The C word is an acceptable term when prefaced with the soothing adjective, quote, middle. Every politician, publicist, and pundit will rhapsodize about the middle class, the object of their heartfelt concern. The much admired and much pitied middle class is supposedly inhabited by virtuously self-sufficient people, free from the presumed profligacy of those who inhabit the lower rungs of society. By including almost everyone, quote, middle class, serves as a conveniently amorphous concept that masks the exploitation and inequality of social relations. It is a class label that denies the actuality of class power. The C word is allowable when applied to one other group, the desperate lot who live on the lowest rung of society, who get the least of everything while being regularly blamed for their own victimization, the, quote, underclass. References to the presumed deficiencies of underclass people are acceptable because they reinforce the existing social hierarchy and justify the unjust treatment accorded to society's most vulnerable elements. class reality is obscured by an ideology whose tenets might be summarized and rebutted as follows. Credo. There are no real class divisions in society. Save for some rich and poor, almost all of us are middle class. Response. Wealth is enormously concentrated in the hands of relatively few in this country, while tens of millions work for poverty-level wages, when work is to be had. The gap between rich and poor has always been great, and has been growing since the late 1970s. Those in the middle also have been enduring increasing economic injustice and insecurity. Credo. Our social institutions and culture are autonomous entities in a pluralistic society, largely free of the influences of wealth and class power. To think otherwise is to entertain conspiracy theories. Response. Great concentrations of wealth exercise an influence in all aspects of life, often a dominating one. Our social and cultural institutions are run by boards of directors, or trustees or regents, drawn largely from interlocking, non-elective, self-selecting corporate elites. They and their faithful hirelings occupy most of the command positions of the executive state and other policy-making bodies, and manifest a keen awareness of their class interests when shaping domestic and international policies. This includes such policies as the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, designed to circumvent whatever democratic sovereignty exists within nations. Credo. The differences between rich and poor are a natural given, not causally linked. Individual human behavior, not class, determines human performance and life chances. Existing social arrangements are a natural reflection of largely innate human proclivities. Response. All conservative ideologies justify existing inequities as the natural order of things, inevitable outcomes of human nature. If the very rich are naturally so much more capable than the rest of us, why must they be provided with so many artificial privileges under the law? So many bailouts, subsidies, and other special considerations, at our expense. Their, quote, naturally superior talents include unprincipled and illegal subterfuges, such as price fixing, stock manipulation, insider trading, fraud, tax evasion, the legal enforcement of unfair competition, ecological spoliation, harmful products, and unsafe work conditions. One might expect naturally superior people not to act in such rapacious and venal ways. Differences in talent and capacity as might exist between individuals do not excuse the crimes and injustices that are endemic to the corporate business system. End of section.